Thank you. One point perhaps that could be helpful, because each person has a different hand, a different body. Everything is so different, right? So each of us at different stages needs different things. My sense is that maybe you are a little bit suspended when you play, especially the right arm. So you do a lot of these movements like this. You may be also moving in this direction, stopping somehow, but not bypassing and reaching really deep into the key, let's say. Unlike tennis or golf, when we hit an object, we have a swing because the object is of smaller dimension. It can be easily moved by a swinging motion. But the keyboard, at the keybed, it stops. And the wood being so much more powerful than us gives, if we don't know how to handle that, it gives us a force which is equal to the force you impart to it. So the force returns back to you, right? Scientifically speaking. So that's not so great because all our ligaments and the smaller parts in our arm can suffer from them. So how can we avoid this? Well, I discovered that in my case, it's often it is similar to tennis, but it's not about the hit that matters. It's about seeing the ball thrown at a distance. The ball it's a question of ballistic, in other words. So your arch is straight or your arch is a little bit higher if you want to reach a different distance. If the tennis ball lands, it will bounce in a different direction, right? If it comes this way, it will bounce the other way, and then progressively reduce the speed. So on the keyboard, when we go towards the keyboard, we need to find a way to bypass it or to pretend that we are the tennis ball. And when we approach the surface, we need to find ways to release the energy in the opposite direction in which it was thrown. And therefore, our arm becomes like a hammock, but a strange hammock, because the hammock being connected from point A to point B swings this way. But our hammock, imagine the two trees where you put the hammock. Imagine that you swing the tree this way and also that way. It means that the hammock not only moves this way, but also it moves this way. So our arm can swing different ways. It can have this swinging motion. Of course, a fall, the free fall, that is often referred to as a free fall, which we use so very little actually. Mostly it's a controlled fall, right? And making sure that all the joints are soft enough to allow these movements to be very free. But also there is this, there is that, there is this. There is a combination of this, you see. We move almost as though this space was three-dimensional, so we move in space like this. These are all ways I think you can learn to let go of your weight. Even a small amount of weight in a pianissimo. See, this one doesn't speak so much. This kind of dead sound. People in the back of the hall won't even hear it so well. So even this, in mezza voce, you can have a small swing of some sort, like... So... And then every time there is a note that's long, instead of going and stopping there, there is a risk that your ligaments, especially the two joints, the wrist and the elbow, may also freeze a little bit. Instead, find something to move. Yeah, try. It's even the first note. Imagine that you think of, if I throw a puddle in the pond, it produces circular motion on the top, right? So there is motion. It's not just it goes deep down, but it causes something to happen. So imagine this. Yes. Yes, and I would recommend putting the pedal before the sound happens so that it already is very warm. It's almost like vibrato just the moment before playing, which nobody does usually. But see this? Can you try this? Yeah, but you give more prominence to the F, and you lengthen it. Dee, dee, da, 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 da. That's what you do. Yeah. Where is your goal? The goal is the E flat, the arrival, the long note, right? Much better, yes. Chopin never makes things easy for us. If he had done this, right, but he puts a pre-stop to the stop, preceding the stop. He has a first he lingers a moment on this one. Maybe it's easy to understand this beginning by playing only like this. Can you try that? Yeah, these. So try just these, and then. Yes, there can be some freedom, but your freedom, the freedom of one note should not take away the freedom of the note that follows, in other words. That's a perfect democracy, isn't it? The biggest problem is when one gets a bit too egotistic to say, look at me here. And the other one is like, excuse me, give me my space, right? So that's what happens. And what that does, I think, it creates segmentation. So sometimes the handling of the long notes, of the pauses, it's an element that can influence the segmentation. Sometimes, if the music is segmented and it's meant to be, then you can emphasize that even more. But the difficulty here is with Chopin is always having a longer line, and especially close to the Opus 50 when there is this major change with contrapuntal writing in Chopin. This is 47, but the lines get a little bit longer now. But he doesn't make it easy because he puts all those little rests and he puts those swinging motions, you know, that look segmented on our score. All this, we have this, then all of these separated by pauses are nothing else but segments. It's almost as though he hasn't quite yet created a theme. Of course, if you look at the pedals are quite long because in the Romantic period they were going over the pauses quite often. And Chopin is probably one of the first people to be extremely precise at notating the pedal. So what are all these pauses? They are gestures in the air. They are they are telling you to create agitation or to show a movement, I think, more than the real pauses. I know you were trying to emulate the writing precisely later, and you were trying to show these pauses more carefully, but I think they are to be assumed in the context of a gesture rather than real silences in a way. Could we try, also, this is the beginning of a string quartet, right? Mezza voce, we have answered by the viola. Then the cello begins with and the violin ends at and in between the second violin is playing the double notes there. So one of the difficult things for our ear when music is is using octave displacement or register displacement. I'll give you an example. You know what piece this is? How about that? How about that? Yeah, the ear has more difficulty to create, to make sense out of this. So even if I do, but if I play here, but give me another register and I do. Where am I going? The first thing is that this and that they are in two different registers. And the second thing is the pauses, and therefore the changes of register, can create segmentation. We make the long notes longer in some ways. So instead, if you can keep your and then go only here, you can relax the phrase only when you reach the eighth bar, towards the eighth bar. Can you try that?
And the rhythm still needs to be precise, eighth notes and quarter notes.
Yes, a little more precise, so that it gives you a sense of continuity. Yeah, could we try? Two, three, one. Relaxing, yes. And it should all be felt. It's a good exercise to transform every quarter notes into an eighth. So you feel the inner grid of rhythm, like a so that it teaches you also the elementary rubato, which is like not a rubato, it's simply a quiet moment at the end that, you know, concludes the phrase. Quiet because it's answered by a sudden gesture that was quite unexpected, right? This by the way, voice with more clarity. This you may need to be arched with your hand to show the thumb. You thought, can you try that? Yes. So going to the right. Right? Yes, yes. So there is a big difference. Now let's do the whole beginning and then surprise me with that forte. Keep the pulse inside. 2, 3, 1. Relax. Ta, 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 ta. Good. Then, you were here. You were here. How can you develop speed? You need a bit of a try. First, do it without, maybe 4 and 5 together if you feel one finger is too weak. But you can do this movement with space. Then, let the gravity take over a little bit. Good. And now, I'll say more. If you let the gravity do the job, you will, from a certain height, you will get a sound that's always the same. It's quite percussive. See if you can now swing it like, it's like this tennis ball that bounced once. It's about to bounce another time, but it's frozen in time. That's where the elevation of your arm comes about, which is here. And then it's about to go, but it doesn't go exactly down because it was thrown at an angle. So it's frozen here, but it will go that way. So it's going this way, as if you could possibly do that. This, going towards this. Can you try that? No, I missed the sound. I hear more left hand and less right. Try the opposite now. Yes. Put the pedal first, though. There it is. No, but you're touching. You're touching. Touch in the beginning, but then go up, and then have the courage to.
Yeah, I'm afraid to hit the round.
Well, let's do it. Let's. It's a bit too quick. Basically, you have to learn not to speed, but to. It's about confidence. You have to be confident of this movement. It's a slower movement. Let's do a couple of times just this. Yeah, and then not too high. Now it's about 2 inches at the most. This, and then slow the movement. Yeah. Yes, but prepare the hand as though there was an octave in the sky here that you were catching. Good, good. Now play with both hands. And obviously, this one should be closer, so it gets less of an impact. And otherwise, this one is always heavier. It's less than. Good. Good. But look, at the basis of this is not a gesture; it's a feeling. The feeling is what? This is a very regal. It's like the king is showing up. Oh, it's elegant. It's then it's calmer. So it's the feeling that gives you the gesture. Because we can talk until tomorrow about do this, do that, but the gesture originates with a feeling inside. Yeah, try. And 1, 2, 3. Good. Now dance, and again. Now swing. Good. Each of these little TT, try to go up with the wrist, like even if you're holding one finger. It's this movement. So if you are, let's say, you put your pinky here, and then you see you can swing a little bit. Yeah, just without resting on it with the full weight. You hold a little bit. So a lot of what we do is also in suspension. So we suspend a little bit with the arm, but you see you can do this. So when you do you can do these movements. So so when you play with this, you have these movements that you can use. Try maybe from here. This. From there. Be careful when you play. You hold the D with the pedal. This he wants you to hold. He writes tenuto and a long note. But these a little different. Try. That's right. Good. There is another element that starts here. It started here. This. Then it does. We should, our ear should hear. Then again. And now it goes to the bass. Very hard. This. And top. Now it's easy because it's an octave. Yes, it's an element that you want to bring out. It's secondary, right? It complements your melody. Yeah. Try one more time from. Then ta-da way. Don't vary the rhythm. You're making eighth notes. This is a common mistake. This is you play. It's a. Tim ta ta ta. If you didn't have the mini note, the tiny note in between, you do. It's a. You play. You're playing an eighth note. But most pianists do that, even in recordings. Sorry to say, but it's really there. It's very hard. So I use another hand. I do. Which is different from. That's what happens. It becomes ta ti da ta instead of ta di da ta ta. Understand, right? It's really difficult. So. And so on. Really hard that you can expand a little bit, but the basic rhythm should still. Otherwise, it becomes. Da, 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 and it's 2 eighth notes. Yeah, that's very tricky. So you may consider, I don't know, even 2 notes. Yeah. Or you could do this. It's so hard. Yes, so that's why if you lead into it with more in tempo, you expand a little bit that bar, it works, and you still can do the correct rhythm. Good. So next is this famous passage. Can you try from here? Yeah, you play, imagine staccato, practice like this one time. Right? That's fine, that was correct. So you see, you're up and then down. Try this basic movement, up with the wrist up also. You see the wrist, right? Just doing this, okay. Yeah, as if you were taking the key and doing this. So, then with pedal. So it's less heavy than that. Imagine the choreography is that, right? There it is. Good. Very good. I would practice also this. So that it only teaches us kinesthetically this movement. This goes maybe to the center like this. This expands to this. And this. Can you try that feeling? Try. Very slowly. Yeah, not even the chord, just the simple, the F, G. Yeah, so. No, it's written. That's it. And when you have the F, the G is gone. Your pinky shouldn't stay, right? That's it, yes. So You see, if you do this a few times, you see that you start developing this feeling like this. I'm exaggerating, but it's mini feeling, it's smaller, it's this. But nevertheless, it's, and then, that creates an ease in the movement. Right? I'll play everything. Good. Beautiful. Good. So you do two things. So you take a long time between this and the start of the passage. Start slowly, then you speed, then you slow. So there is the element of timing between this position and this. The timing that you expand also in the beginning of this and the timing at the end. 3 rallentandos, basically. I would try to at least begin. To reserve the rallentando for a little later. Otherwise, the unity of the phrase is stopping between and that. It needs to get to the end. Yeah? Can you try the last one? So begin the passage a little faster and a little sooner. Major, sorry. Good. I wouldn't change the pedal as indicated by Chopin, not. You play, sorry, you change here at the C, but Chopin changes after a little while, after the C has been played. Keeping the C major harmony, then after. Yeah, so you give all of the, with the C, then, and then on. Try from, beautiful. Hold it and, yeah, not quick changes. Very slow. Now longer. First time, second, third, fourth, and then. Good. So that shouldn't be a beginning. It should be a continuation, like only here. And actually, I made a mistake because he really writes same pedal until. Here, then. What a master of the symbols. You know, I have recently discovered that the best way to get in touch with notation and make sense out of notation is to, when you have memorized the piece, you take the time to notate the piece down on paper yourself. And then as you write it, you realize, oh, I forgot the stir. And then once the passage is complete, I go and I write the stir in with a different color. That teaches me, why is the stir there? I would never have thought about. I make some discoveries that are amazing. For example, I'll give you an example, a very practical example. He writes with pedal this. The piece is obviously in 6/8. So if you hear pa-pa, pa-pa, obviously there is a 1, pa-pa, pa-pa. There is a pause on 2 and a pause on 5. 1, pause, sound, sound, pause, sound, sound, pause, sound, sound. The first time Chopin writes eighth notes in the right hand, followed by various pauses. So you have, you don't hear it because you hear the long sounds because of the pedal, but if you didn't write pedal, it'd be this way. Pause. Then the second time he writes. So the second time there are no pauses. But the first time you say there is a pedal anyway, so it doesn't feel like there is a pause. So why is the notation different? Very simple. It's simply because it means lighter. If you play second time, the longer note makes you feel that you are digging into the key a little more, maybe balancing your hand. But the other one is a little bit inside you feel the lightness, but the pedal does the rest. So second time. It's also a visual way to notate a small crescendo, perhaps, without writing the word crescendo, because if we see the word crescendo, we'll overdo. So it's a very delicate way to use notation to express something. And that would have never occurred to me if I tried to copy, mentally rewrite the piece. I would probably be uncertain about where the pauses are, and then it would make me ask the question of why is there a pause in the first place? What does it mean if he uses the pedal? I don't hear physically I don't hear the pause. So there must be something, there must be another reason. And that's my answer to that reason, anyway. But I discovered it through this process, yeah? Let's talk about, so all the pauses become very important here. I wanted to at least mention something about this, this passage. Could you play for me this? Yes, it's easier if you do this movement of right, left, let's say. It's also right, left, out. Don't feel left out, but it's right, left, out. So, something that allows your hand to be in equilibrium and continues this. This is different. It's in, down, up, down, up. So it's the hammock that moves this way, whereas this one moves outward. Right. Good. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So keep the swing in your body. Otherwise, you will play the notes, but they won't swing because your whole body isn't feeling that. Right? Very good. Now here I would, the second time through, I would recommend from hearing this. Sometimes that voice. And then from the upper C, which is very audible, I would start making another note grow. The E. Because the relationship is not a T. I find this is so from I voice, because the and then it's retaken by the left hand, right? You try? So voice the C, then a little bit the E. Beautiful. Yeah, without accent. Very soft, and accent should be on that note. Good. Good. All of this passage, to conclude, is fine. what I was missing is the swing. The swing is not in the right hand, believe it or not. It's a, and try to hear this. It's not a, it's a, then, that. All of this gives the swing. Chopin is very difficult because he has created a very specific character for each hand. It's another way of creating counterpoint. Instead of voicing, he's also using hands. One hand is responsible for the dance, the other one has the elegance. Another one has the rhythm, the other one has the cantabile. Anyway, so if you identify these things and you work separate hands to, or at least separate voices sometimes, depending on the texture, you can really enjoy even more. You know, basically there were some elements in your performance that were not standing out enough, such as in this case, in the mini waltz. I think it's the left hand that will help navigate these things for you and give more rhythmic excitement to the passages, because the right hand was fine. Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you.